You wake up, the worry is already there. Before you check your phone, before you drink your coffee, before you say a single word to anyone, it is there. Sitting in your chest, pulling at your thoughts, telling you something is wrong. Maybe it is money. Maybe it is your job. Maybe it is a relationship. Maybe you do not even know what it is. You just know the feeling, that heavy, tired, restless feeling that follows you everywhere. And here is what nobody tells you. That feeling is not who you are. It is a habit. Here's the truth. Worry is not a personality. It is not your destiny. It is not something you were born with and must carry forever. Worry is a pattern. A mental pattern you have been practicing probably for years, maybe for most of your life. And like any pattern, it can be broken, it can be replaced, it can be switched off. This is a graded lesson for English learners who want a calmer, stronger mind. Today I am going to give you a system. 8 lessons, 21 days. The same mental techniques used by people who live without the weight of constant worry. People who face hard problems, real problems, and still move through their days with a clear head and a steady heart. This is not about pretending life is easy. Life is not easy. This is not about thinking positive when things go wrong. This is about something deeper, something more powerful. It is about training your mind the way you train a muscle, deliberately, consistently, day after day. If you have tried to stop worrying before and failed, I want you to hear this. You did not fail because you are weak. You failed because nobody gave you the right system. That changes today. If you have carried worry so long it feels normal, I want you to hear this too. Normal is not the same as natural. Calm is your natural state. Worry is something that was layered on top. And if some part of you is already saying, this will not work for me, that is the worry talking. That is the habit defending itself. Notice it. Then keep listening. A free mind is built, not born. Say that again in your head. A free mind is built, not born. That means it is available to you. It has always been available to you. You just needed the blueprint. By the end of this lesson, you will have it. Now let's begin. If you are serious about changing the way your mind works, subscribe right now. New lessons, new tools every week. Hit that button and let's go. Lesson 1, the worry loop. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you worried about something that never happened? Think about it. Really think. The meeting that went fine. The conversation you were afraid of that turned out okay. The health scare that was nothing. The money problem that sorted itself out. You spent days, maybe weeks carrying that weight, and it never came. Listen carefully. This is not a coincidence. Research on human thinking tells us that the large majority of what we worry about never actually happens. And of the small part that does happen, most of it we handle far better than we expected. The mind lies to you. It tells you the worst is coming. It tells you to prepare for disaster. And you believe it. Every single time. That is the worry loop. Here is how it works. Something happens. A small thing sometimes. A message you did not get back. A bill that is a little high. A look on someone's face. Your brain notices it. And then instead of moving on, it grabs that thing and starts spinning. What does this mean? What might happen next? What is the worst possible outcome? And then it spins again, and again, and again. You did not choose to do this. Nobody taught you to do this on purpose. But somewhere along the way, your brain learned that spinning was useful. That worrying meant you were being careful, responsible, prepared. There was a man, not famous, not special, just an ordinary man with an ordinary life. He worried about his job every Sunday night for 11 years, every Sunday, without fail. The feeling would start around 4 in the afternoon. By 8 at night, he could not eat. By 10, he could not sleep. Monday would come. He would go to work. Nothing bad would happen. And the next Sunday, it would start again. 11 years. He was not weak. He was not broken. He was stuck in a loop. A loop his own brain had built, brick by brick, Sunday by Sunday, until it felt as natural as breathing. That is what the worry loop does. It does not feel like a habit. It feels like reality. It feels like you are simply responding to a dangerous world. But you are not responding to the world. You are responding to a pattern inside your own head. And here is the key that changes everything. The brain does not know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. When you worry, your body responds as if the danger is real. Your heart beats faster. Your muscles tighten. Your stomach turns. You are sitting in a safe room, and your body is preparing for an attack that is not coming. You wake up tired. Not because life is hard, because your brain ran a threat simulation all night long. He woke up tired. He moved through his days half present. He snapped at his children. He avoided his friends. He told himself this was just who he was. It was not who he was. It was what he had practiced. You are not a worrier. You are someone who practiced worrying. And that means you can practice something else. That is what the next 20 days are going to show you. A pattern built can be a pattern broken. Lesson 2. The 21-day window. Here is a question most people never ask. If worry is a habit, how long does it take to replace it? The answer is not forever. The answer is not a lifetime of therapy or years of meditation retreats. The answer, according to what we know about how the brain changes, is closer to 21 days. Not because 21 is a magic number. Because 21 days of consistent, repeated behavior is enough to begin reshaping the way your brain responds to stress. This is called neuroplasticity. It is a long word with a simple meaning. Your brain is not fixed. It is not set in stone from the day you were born. It is flexible. It is changeable. It is, in the most literal sense, rewirable. Now think about this. Every time you worry, you are training your brain to worry. You are reinforcing a pathway. You are making it easier for that pathway to fire again the next time something uncertain happens. The more you walk a path, the clearer it becomes. That is true in a forest. It is true in your mind. But here's what that also means. Every time you choose a different response, you are building a different path. A calmer path. A steadier path. A path that says, I see the problem and I choose not to spiral. Carol Dweck spent decades studying how people change. Her work at Stanford showed something simple and powerful. People who believed their minds could grow actually grew. Not because they were smarter. Not because life was easier. Because they acted on that belief consistently over time. The mind follows the direction you give it. Not once, not twice, consistently. That is what 21 days is about. It is not about being perfect for 21 days. It is not about never having a worried thought. It is about practicing a new response day after day until the new response becomes the default. Until calm becomes the habit instead of worry. A weak mind rehearses worry every morning before it gets out of bed. A strong mind rehearses calm, not because calm comes easily, because it has been practiced until it does. 21 days is not a cure. It is a beginning. It is the window of time your brain needs to start building new pathways, to start weakening the old ones, to start making the unfamiliar feel familiar. Day 1 will feel forced. It will feel like you are pretending, like you are telling yourself to be calm while everything inside you is still spinning. That is normal. That is what the beginning of every new habit feels like. Day 7 will feel a little different, not easy, but different. There will be one moment, maybe just one, where a worried thought arrives and you catch it before it pulls you under. Just one moment. But you will notice it. And that moment matters more than you know. Day 21 will feel different again. Not perfect, but genuinely different. The pathway is forming. The response is changing. The brain that used to run automatically toward worst-case scenarios is learning, slowly and surely, to pause. 21 days is not magic. It is biology, and you have 21 days. You have always had them. You just needed a reason to use them the right way. Starting today, you have that reason. Lesson 3. The control audit. There is a question that emotionally free people ask that most people never think to ask. It is a short question, a simple question, but it cuts through worry faster than almost anything else. The question is this: can I control this? That is it. 4 words. Can I control this? Not what might happen, not what does this mean, not what will people think, just can I control this? Marcus Aurelius was one of the most powerful men in the ancient world. He was the emperor of Rome. He commanded armies. He managed crises, plagues, wars, political betrayal. He had every reason in the world to be consumed by worry. And yet the writings he left behind show a man of remarkable calm. Not because his life was easy, it was not, but because he had a system. A mental system he returned to every single day. His system was this: divide every problem into 2 categories. What is in my control? What is not in my control? Act on the first, release the second. That was it. That was the whole system. Stay with me. Most people do the opposite. They spend the majority of their mental energy on the things they cannot control. The economy, what someone else thinks of them, whether a flight will be delayed, whether their boss is in a good mood, whether it will rain on the day of an important event. They turn these things over and over in their minds. They build entire worry structures around outcomes they have zero power to change. And the things they can actually control, the preparation, the response, the attitude, the next step, these get almost no attention at all. That is not thinking. That is suffering. Here is what disciplined people do instead. They run what I call the control audit. Every time a worry arrives, they ask, can I control this? If yes, they make a plan and they act. If no, they name it, they acknowledge it, and then they make a conscious choice to redirect their energy. It sounds simple. It is simple. Simple is not the same as easy. But with practice over 21 days, it becomes a reflex. Most people react to fear. Disciplined people respond to facts. Fear says the worst is coming. Facts say, here is what I know, here is what I can do, here is what I must release. Worry lives in the gap between what happened and what you wish had happened. Read that sentence one more time. Worry lives in the gap between what happened and what you wish had happened. You cannot close that gap by thinking harder. You cannot close it by worrying longer. You close it by accepting what is real and acting on what is possible. If the problem is real and you can act, act now. Stop thinking and start moving. If the problem is real and you cannot act, then worrying is not preparation. It is punishment. You are punishing yourself for a situation you did not cause and cannot fix. If the worry is about the future, ask, is this certain? Or is this a story my brain invented? Most of the time, it is a story, a very convincing story, but a story. If the answer to, can I control this, is no, then say these words out loud if you need to. This is not mine to carry. Then put it down. Marcus Aurelius put it down every day. Not because he did not care, because he understood that carrying what you cannot control does not protect you. It only exhausts you. You have limited energy. You have limited time. Every minute spent worrying about things outside your control is a minute stolen from the things inside it. Run the audit every day, every worry. Can I control this, act, or release? There is no third option. Lesson 4. The present anchor. Where are you right now? Not where your body is. Your body is here. I mean, where is your mind? If you are like most people who struggle with worry, your mind is almost never where your body is. Your body is at the dinner table. Your mind is at tomorrow's meeting. Your body is in bed. Your mind is replaying a conversation from 3 days ago. Your body is walking outside in the fresh air. Your mind is somewhere in a version of the future that does not exist yet. Chronic worry almost never lives in the present moment. It lives in the past, turning over what went wrong. It lives in the future, building disasters that have not happened. But it almost never lives here, in this moment, in this breath, in this room. And that one fact holds the key to everything. Hear me on this. Your mind cannot worry and be fully present at the same time. This is not a motivational phrase. This is how attention works. The brain has a limited capacity for focus. When it is fully engaged with what is real and immediate and happening right now, it does not have the bandwidth to run worry simulations about a future that may never come. Emotionally free people are not people without problems. They have problems. Real ones, serious ones. David Goggins grew up in poverty. He faced racism. He failed military entrance exams multiple times. He dealt with physical conditions that should have ended his career before it began. He had every reason to be consumed by what might go wrong, by what had already gone wrong. But Goggins talks about something he calls staying in the moment of pain. Not the imagined pain of tomorrow. Not the remembered pain of yesterday. The actual, present, real experience of right now. He trained himself to come back to the present again and again, no matter what his mind tried to tell him. He came back. He breathed. He focused on the next step, not the whole staircase. He came back again. That was the practice. Not once, not twice. Hundreds of times a day. You do not have to be a Navy SEAL to use this. You just have to practice coming back. The present moment is the only place where action is possible. You cannot act in the past, it is gone. You cannot act in the future, it has not arrived. You can only act now. And worry pulls you away from now. It pulls you into a place where you have no power, where nothing can be done, where you are simply a passenger in your own anxiety. Here is the practice. It is small. It is simple. When you notice your mind has left the present, name it, not with judgment, not with frustration, just name it. I am worrying about tomorrow. Then take one slow breath. Then look around the room you are in. Name 3 things you can see. Name 1 thing you can hear. Then ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do right now? That is the anchor. A deliberate, practiced return to the only moment that is real. Your brain has been pulling away from the present for years. It is fast. It will pull again the moment you stop practicing. So you practice. Every day, every time you notice, you come back. Day by day, breath by breath, present moment by present moment. If this lesson is speaking to you, hit subscribe right now. There are 7 more lessons in this system, and the next few are going to go even deeper. Stay with this. You are building something real. Lesson 5. The Identity Shift. You have tried to stop worrying before. Maybe you told yourself to relax. Maybe you counted your blessings. Maybe you took deep breaths, read books, listened to podcasts. Maybe you even had a few good days. A few quiet mornings where the worry was softer, smaller, almost manageable. And then it came back. Not because you are weak, not because the techniques failed, but because you were trying to change your behavior without changing something deeper. You were trying to stop a habit while still carrying the identity that created it. Here's what I mean. If you believe deep down that you are a worrier, then every technique you use is fighting against that belief. You can try to be calm, but if your identity says, "I am someone who worries," your brain will always find its way back. Because the brain is loyal to who it thinks you are. It protects your identity. It confirms it. It finds evidence for it everywhere. Let me make this simple. You cannot think your way out of worry. You must become someone who does not identify with worry. That shift is not small. It is the shift. It is the difference between someone who is trying to stop worrying and someone who simply does not see themselves as a worrier anymore. One is fighting a habit. The other is change the ground the habit was built on. Viktor Frankl survived conditions that broke most people around him. He lost his family. He lost his freedom. He lost almost everything a person can lose. And in the middle of that, he discovered something that he carried for the rest of his life. He discovered that no matter what happened to him from the outside, there was one thing no one could take: the freedom to choose his own response, to choose what meaning he gave to what happened, to choose who he was inside, regardless of what was happening outside. He did not stop worrying by trying harder to stop worrying. He chose a different identity entirely. The identity of a man who responded rather than reacted, who observed his thoughts rather than became them. You can do this too. It starts with one sentence, not said once, said every day in the morning before the world has a chance to pull you back into the old pattern. The sentence is this: I am someone who chooses calm. Not, I am trying to be calmer. Not, I hope I worry less. I am someone who chooses calm. Present tense, identity statement. Said like it is already true, because the brain does not wait for proof before it starts building. It builds in the direction you point it. A worried person wakes up and asks what might go wrong today. A free mind wakes up and asks, what can I do right now? A worried person sees a problem and asks, why is this happening to me? A free mind sees the same problem and asks, what is this asking of me? A worried person collects evidence that the world is dangerous. A free mind collects evidence that it is capable. Same world, different identity, completely different experience. You are not your thoughts. You are not the voice in your head that predicts disaster. You are the one who hears that voice, and you are the one who decides whether to follow it or not. Stop fighting your thoughts. Start choosing your identity, because a free mind is built, not born. It is built decision by decision, morning by morning, identity statement by identity statement, until the person you are becoming is more real to you than the person you used to be. That person is 21 days away. Start today. Lesson 6. The Daily Mental Ritual. Most people treat their mental state like the weather. They wake up and check it. How do I feel today? Am I anxious? Am I okay? Is it going to be a good day or a bad one? And then they respond to whatever they find. If the weather is calm, they move forward. If the weather is stormy, they brace for impact. Here's what most people miss. Emotionally free people do not check the weather. They set it. They do not wait to feel calm before they act calm. They do not wait to feel confident before they speak with confidence. They do not wait for worry to go away before they start their day. They have a ritual. A daily mental ritual that runs before the world has a chance to set the tone for them. This is not complicated. It is not a 2-hour morning routine that requires waking up at 4 in the morning. It is a small, consistent practice. 10 minutes, 15 at most, done every single day without exception for 21 days. Here is what it looks like. The first part is silence. Before the phone, before the news, before conversation. 2 minutes of complete silence. Not meditation in the traditional sense, just silence. You sit, you breathe. You do not try to fix anything. You do not plan anything. You simply let your mind settle, the way sediment settles at the bottom of a glass when you stop shaking it. Silence first. 2 minutes. Every morning. The second part is the identity statement. You have already learned this in the last lesson. You say it now out loud, if possible. I am someone who chooses calm. You say it like you mean it, even if part of you does not believe it yet. Especially if part of you does not believe it yet. The brain builds in the direction you point it. Point it toward calm every single morning, and it will begin to find its way there. The third part is the one question. Ask yourself, what is the one most important thing I can do today? Not the longest list, not the most impressive task. Just one. The one thing that if you do it, makes the day feel like it mattered. Write it down, 1 sentence. Then close the notebook. That is the whole ritual. Silence. Identity statement. 1 question. 10 minutes. If this sounds too small to matter, you have not tried it for 21 days straight. There was a woman named Dana. She was good at her job, better than most people around her. She was also exhausted, not from the work itself, but from the constant mental noise that surrounded it. She worried about whether her manager liked her. She worried about projects that had not started yet. She worried about the next performance review while the current one was still months away. She was not failing. She was succeeding. And she was miserable. She started the ritual, not because she believed it would work, because she had run out of other options. Silence. Identity statement. 1 question. Every morning for 21 days. On day 7, she started sleeping better. On day 14, she was making decisions faster with less second-guessing. On day 21, she received a promotion. Not because of the ritual directly, because the version of herself that showed up to work was steadier, cleaner, more present than the one who had been showing up for years. The ritual did not change her circumstances. It changed who walked into those circumstances. Discipline is what you do before you feel like it. Not when you are motivated, not when everything is going well, not when the stars align. Every morning. Before the world wakes up and tries to tell you who you are today, you tell it first. Lesson 7. The reframe weapon. Your brain asks questions all day long. Most of the time, you do not notice. The questions happen automatically below the surface, shaping every feeling you have without you ever choosing them. And for a mind locked in the worry habit, the questions it asks are almost always the same kind. What if this goes wrong? What if I am not enough? What if they judge me? What if I lose it? What if it never gets better? What if? What if? What if? These are not neutral questions. Every question your brain asks sends it searching for an answer. Ask what if this goes wrong and your brain will find 17 reasons it might. That is not pessimism. That is just how the search function works. You give it a question, it finds evidence. The problem is not that your brain is broken. The problem is that it has been given the wrong questions. Pause for 1 second. What if you changed the question not to something false, not to something blindly positive, just to something more useful? Instead of, what if this goes wrong? Ask, what can I do right now? Instead of, what if they judge me? Ask, what do I actually know to be true? Instead of, what if I am not enough? Ask, what is one thing I did well today? Different question, completely different answer, completely different feeling. This is the reframe weapon. It is not about lying to yourself. It is not about pretending the worry does not exist. It is about redirecting the search, giving your brain a better question to work with, a question that moves forward instead of spiraling in place. Mel Robbins has talked about the way the brain defaults to hesitation and self-doubt when left to its own patterns. Her work is built around one core idea. The moment between a worried thought and a habitual response is real. It exists. And in that moment, you have a choice. A tiny window, sometimes less than a second, where you can interrupt the automatic pattern and insert something deliberate instead. The reframe is that interruption. A quitter stays comfortable with their worry. It is familiar. It is known. It has been there so long, it feels like company. A winner gets uncomfortable with that comfort. They notice the pattern arriving. They name it. They ask a different question. Not because it is easy, but because they have decided that the old question is no longer acceptable. You ask a worried question. You get a worried answer. You feel worried. You ask a useful question. You get a useful answer. You feel capable. That is the whole mechanism. That is all it is. Here's the practice for this week. Every time you catch a what if thought arriving, stop. Name it out loud if you can. Say, there is a what if thought. Then replace it with one of these what do I know for certain right now? Or what is one small action I can take? Or simply, what is real? It feels mechanical at first. Good. Mechanical means you are interrupting the automatic. Mechanical means the old highway is being rerouted. Keep going. A question moves the mind forward. A worry keeps it stuck. He asked better questions. He moved. He asked better questions. He acted. He asked better questions. He built something. Not because his life became easier, because the tool he used to face it became sharper. You have the same tool. You have always had it. You just did not know you could choose which questions to ask. Now you do. Choose better questions every day for 21 days. Watch what your brain builds when you give it something worth building toward. Lesson 8. The Compounding Calm. Here is something nobody tells you about change. It does not feel like change when it is happening. You do not wake up on day 8 and feel transformed. You do not finish day 14 and think I'm a different person now. The change is quiet. It is happening underneath the surface, below what you can feel or measure. The pathways are shifting. The old patterns are getting weaker. The new ones are getting stronger. And you cannot see any of it. This is why most people stop. Not because the system is not working, because they cannot feel it working yet. They expected a dramatic shift and got a quiet Tuesday. So they go back to the old habits. And the old habits are right there waiting. This is the most dangerous moment in any 21-day system. Not day 1 when you are motivated. Not day 21 when you can see the finish line. Day 8, day 9, day 10, the middle. The gray zone where nothing feels different yet and the end still feels far away. Let me say it again. Most people quit in the middle. Not at the beginning, not at the end. In the middle where the work is invisible and the results have not yet shown up. Calm is not a feeling that arrives. It is a practice that compounds. Like money in a bank that you cannot see growing day by day, but that is growing. Quietly, reliably. Every single day you show up. There was a man named Thomas. He lost his job at 43. Not just any job. The job he had built his entire identity around for 16 years. 3 months later, his doctor found something in a routine scan that needed more tests. A week after that, the relationship he had been in for 9 years ended quietly one evening over dinner. 3 things. 3 months. He did not handle it well at first. He worried constantly about money, about his health, about being alone. He lay awake at night running scenarios, each one worse than the last. He stopped eating properly. He stopped seeing friends. He sat in his apartment and let the worry build walls around him brick by brick until the walls were all he could see. Then at the bottom, something shifted. Not dramatically. Not with a sudden revelation. Just a quiet decision. He decided he was going to stop letting his mind run the show unsupervised. He started with silence in the morning. 2 minutes. Then the identity statement. Then one question. He ran the control audit on every worry that arrived. He practiced coming back to the present when his mind pulled toward the future. He asked better questions when the what-ifs started spinning. He was not good at it at first. Day 1 was hard. Day 3 was harder. Day 5, he almost stopped. But he did not stop. On day 7, he slept through the night for the first time in weeks. On day 12, he got the medical results. They were fine. He noticed that he received the news calmly, not because he had known everything would be fine, but because somewhere in those 12 days, he had built just enough steadiness to receive hard news without falling apart. On day 21, he was not the same man who had sat in that apartment surrounded by worry walls. He was not fixed. Life was not easy. The job was still gone. The relationship was still over. But he was present. He was capable. He was someone who could be trusted to face what came next. He had built it, day by day, practice by practice, lesson by lesson. Calm is not a feeling. It is a practice that compounds. Day 1 is hard. Day 7 is different. Day 21 changes you, not because the world changed, because you did. A free mind is built, not born, and you are building one, right now. With every lesson you take seriously, with every morning ritual you keep, with every worried thought you catch and redirect, with every question you reframe, it is compounding, right now. Even when you cannot feel it. Do not stop in the middle. You came here with worry. You came here with that familiar heaviness in your chest. That restless, tired, spinning feeling that follows you from morning to night. You came here because something in you knew it was time to change. And you stayed. That matters. Most people click away. Most people say they will start tomorrow. You stayed for 8 lessons. That is the beginning of a different kind of mind. So let's close with what you now know. Lesson 1. Worry is not who you are. It is a habit, a pattern your brain has been practicing, and any pattern that was learned can be unlearned. Lesson 2. Your brain can change. 21 days of consistent new behavior begins to rewire the pathways. The biology is on your side. You just have to show up. Lesson 3. Run the control audit every day. Can I control this? If yes, act. If no, release it. There is no third option. Carrying what you cannot control is not preparation. It is punishment. Lesson 4. Come back to the present. Worry lives in the past and the future. Action only lives in now. When your mind pulls away, breathe, look around, and ask, what can I do right now? Lesson 5. Change your identity before you try to change your behavior. Say it every morning. I am someone who chooses calm. Say it until you mean it.
Say it especially when you do not mean it yet.
Lesson 6. Build the ritual. Silence. Identity statement. One question. 10 minutes. Every morning. Before the world sets the tone for you. Lesson 7. Ask better questions. A question moves the mind forward. A worry keeps it stuck. Replace every what if with what can I do every single time. Lesson 8. Do not stop in the middle. Calm compounds quietly. Day 1 is hard. Day 7 shifts. Day 21 changes you. Trust the process even when you cannot feel it working. 8 lessons. 1 system. 21 days. That is all it takes to begin building the kind of mind that worry cannot own. 21 days from now, you will not be the same person. Unless you do nothing. So do something. Start tomorrow morning. 2 minutes of silence, 1 identity statement, 1 question. That is day 1. That is all day 1 asks of you. And then day 2, and then day 3. Until the day you wake up and realize the worry is not there first thing anymore. Until the day a hard thing happens and you notice you are steady instead of spinning. Until the day someone asks how you do it and you realize you do not have to think about the answer anymore. That day is coming. It is 21 days away. A free mind is built, not born. You are building one. Now go do the work. Keep listening daily. This is how English learners grow 1 lesson at a time. Thank you for being here. I will see you in the next lesson.